I'd rather have way too much work than we can handle and slowly start to hire people to fill the seats and get them immersed in a busy culture than have someone sit there kind of dead, waiting for those leads to come in. Hire slow and fire fast. I know that might sound a little harsh, but it's impossible to know if you're hiring the right person when you hire them at first. Bring in the right people and slowly start to fill that ideal organizational chart that you want.
All right, so today we have James with Yard Dogs, and he is also the owner of the Dirt Life YouTube channel, and he's also a public speaker because he spoke at Landscape Summit last year. So welcome, James. We are so thankful to have you on the podcast. We appreciate you and your time.
Oh, hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to jump into this content. I never had someone refer to me as a public speaker before, so feeling super happy now. Like, wow, jacked up. We should just end the podcast right now. I'm cool with that. That's great.
Drop the mic. That's it.
Exactly. Thanks for having me on. I'm really looking forward to speaking with you, Will. And thanks for the great work you do. Thanks for all the great value you bring to everyone in the landscape industry. I've been following your content for a while. Now you're always pushing awesome stuff. Love especially your tours of like your trucks, your equipment, your shop, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you that don't know, we have had James on here before, but since then we've gotten probably quite a few new subscribers and followers that are watching the content. So what I wanted to do, James, is take at least a few minutes here to really spotlight you, because you have built, you and your partner, like over a $2 million lawn care business up there in Canada, which is incredible. And most people don't even hit the $1 million mark. So like, it's super awesome that you're on the podcast here. And like, I guess like, can you talk us through that journey of like where you started, what that journey looked like, and kind of where you're at today?
Yeah, and I'd be happy to. It's taken, so this is my 10th year in business. It's officially a decade, which is kind of cool to talk about, and time flies. I'll start by saying that. But the first 5 years is that we've only been doing our niche of fertilizer and weed control this is our 5th year doing that. So we I know I say I've been in business for 10 years, but it's really been 5 years when you think about it like that. 10 years ago, I was 19 years old, and I started a lawn care company during university. I got invited to a seminar where they give you a machine called mechanical aerator. You go door to door with the thing in the spring, because I was looking for a summertime job, and they give you a 30% commission for every house that you sold and did. And I remember I'm sitting there in the seminar, I'm thinking, this aeration thing, don't know what it does. It makes those cores in the ground, whatever. But it sounds like people will pay you like, I don't know, 50, 60 bucks a house. But if I'm doing all the work and I'm doing all the sales and I'm doing all the marketing, like I'm doing everything, I kind of want 100% commission. The only thing stopping me is getting my own piece of equipment, my own barrier to entry. Surely it's easy to run a lawn care company. Like, we all know that's not true. But I remember thinking, no, I might as well do this myself. So I looked up an area at the time. They're 2,700 bucks Canadian. They're more than double that now, but 2,700 bucks Canadian. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'd love to do this. And the year before, I'd done flood restoration with my buddy Liam. And that was when we were in grade 12, just out of high school. And we worked well together, and I always enjoyed working with him. I'd known him since kindergarten, but we hadn't really become really good friends until high school. So I called Liam up like, yo, man, there's this thing called an aerator. I don't really know what it does, but I know people pay like 50, 60 bucks. We'll just buy the machine if you want to go in with me on it. We'll be 50-50. We'll go door to door, and the rest will be history, man. We'll make millions of dollars kind of thing. And he's like, sure, man, that works for me. So we were literally in business from that point on. Our first aerator arrived on my birthday. So that was March 30th of 2014, my 19th birthday. And we started going door to door with the thing. And like, we were so bad. Like, we were so bad at sales. We had no idea how to do the machine and stuff, but we were willing to be bad. And I do believe a prerequisite to being great is that you're going to be good. To get good, you got to be bad. And to be bad, you got to start. So we weren't scared to start. That's one thing. We had nothing to lose. We just wanted to make some money. And right away, people started to notice we were a little bit different. What I mean by that is that when I told you I'd be there at 9, I showed up at 9. We were wearing a uniform. We didn't have coffee stains everywhere. We weren't swearing every third word talking to them. People respected the professionalism that we brought to the lawn care services then. And they inevitably started to ask us, do you do X services? Do you do Y services? And when you first start out, someone's offering money, you say yes, of course. And then, so people would ask us, do you do power raking? You'd be like, yeah. How much you charge? 170. When can you do it? Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Sounds good. I leave, go home, YouTube. What is power raking? Because I just told them I'm going to do it. Oh, it's this machine that rakes the lawn and brings up all the dead stuff. Okay. Oh man, those things is like $3,000. Okay, but on Kijiji, which is like Craigslist, this guy's got his posted for like $1,000. We should just call him, but dude, it's like 11 p.m. I just call him anyways. He's 3 hours away. Screw it. We end up meeting the guy like in Bassano, which is like between where we are in Calgary to Medicine Hat. Meet him there, like it's like midnight. It's only 1 a.m. We buy the machine. Looks like a drug deal, honestly. And then we go home. We practice on our lawns at 3 a.m. Neighbors complain. And then the next day, we're at that person's house at 10 a.m. doing the job. So that's how we started. We were just we were willing to we stuck true to our commitments. So like if we said we were going to be there at 10, we were there at 10, and we charged what we said we were going to charge, and we were just professional with things, and we took pride in the work we did, and people really responded well to us. So the first 5 years, that was kind of our business. We were kind of doing anything for anyone that was willing to pay us. Like, if you need your toilet scrubbed 30 minutes away, we'd come do it, kind of thing. But we were landscaping, mowing, window washing, all this stuff, man. And Will, like, as you know, like, it got out of hand. I had no idea what our margins were. I had no idea what our service offerings were. People saw the name Yard Dogs. They had no idea what we did. So 5 years in, I'm married. We're expecting our first child. My wife looks at me. She's like, okay, what's this lawn care thing? Are you guys, is this a real business or what? I'm like, I just graduated business school. And I'm like, I don't know if this is a real business, honestly. But I talked to Liam. We decided, listen, let's go all in 1 year, see what happens. But we got to pick a niche. I know you Americans say niche, but I say niche. We decided, let's take only, when people think of McDonald's, they think of a burger and fries and milkshakes. They don't think of a steak. They don't think of a grilled cheese. They think of those specific things. We got to pick our niche here. So we decided to pick our 5 services that had the least amount of competition in our city, that were our highest profit margins, that we truly believed we could be the best at. So we chose fertilizing, weed control, aerations, seeding, and soil enhancements. We built 3 packages. We were called the Yard Dogs. We had the Pomeranian package, the Golden Retriever, and the St. Bernard. We went all in on that. And now that's been 5 years. We had, in 2023, we took care of 4,500 residential accounts, all residential, lawns under 10,000 square feet. I don't touch commercial, don't touch acreages. I won't touch mowing, won't touch spring cleanups. And yeah, we did 2.1 million last year. This year we're shooting for 2.75.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. So that's really, really incredible. That what I like, you guys, number one, you picked a niche or niche. See, I'm tripping over my words here. And you even went deeper on that and said, look, we're only doing residential. We're getting rid of commercial. And most people kind of flip flop back and forth or do both. And it's like, you guys got really, really deep, and that's incredible. And so how did you, why weed control?
Well, I remember, okay, let me start by saying I'm allergic to grass. So the spring cleanups, the mowing, the hay fever would go off the charts for me. So actually in the year 1, in fact, in like week 3, I look over at Lee and I'm like, man, I can't do this anymore. Like, I have no problem running the business side of things. I actually like that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the lawn care services, like I'm up at like 11 or midnight coughing my lungs out, and like I'm on every like allergy medication known to man. I'm like high half the time. I can't do this anymore. So I was off of the tools almost right off the bat, and it really helped me focus on like the sales, the marketing, the business side of things, and the brand of Yard Dogs Lawn Care. We decided to choose fertilizer and weed control because I remember I was doing power raking for one of our competitors, and I remember I was because they didn't do power raking, but we were doing a ton of it. And I remember I went to their office one day and I saw people on the phone selling, and like I saw their sales board. They did like 26 grand that day. I'm like, holy shit, 26 grand. How's that even possible? And I remember like watching their business and all these things. I'm like, okay, they're running a tight ship and they only do a couple services. I thought that really cool. And like, by the way, it didn't have to be fertilizer and weed control. I think we could have picked anything for our niche, as long as, then I always say all the time, you can make money in anything, but you can't make money in everything. I didn't want to be a guy chasing 2 bunnies because you're not going to catch either of them well. So we could have done snow removal and lawn mowing. We could have done that. We could have done spring cleanups. We could have done window washing. I could have done gutter cleaning and gutter installs. But we just decided to do fertilizer and weed control because I figured that was the service that had the least amount of competition in our city. I thought they ran a pretty cool business model. I thought we could be the best at it. And we felt like there's just a demand in the market. So that's why we picked what we picked. But I'm confident no matter what we would have picked, as long as we stayed focused, which we have been, we would have found a way to make it work with many
Yeah.
mistakes along the way, mind you, but we would have found a way to make it work.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I know for us, so like we used to offer sod, tree trimming, and a lot of those like even like edging border installations.
Hmm. Hmm.
And almost 2 years ago, I mean, we were doing probably 400 or 500K in the business, and we removed that stuff. And so it did hinder like the top line growth. But I found like when we were doing all of those services, dude, we were literally running around like a chicken with our head cut off in the spring rush. It was crazy. And I'm like, anybody who's trying to build that type of business where there's so many large, projects and just all different kinds of like avenues that you can like do, it's just it's insane. And so I know for us, a lot of the stuff that we cut out was like sod and like even plant installation. We don't even offer plant installs when we do flower bed cleanups now because we could go out and do 110% job, install the plant, install the bush properly. But if the customer doesn't water it well, like they're going to look at us and be like, hey, you killed my plant. So my question to you, James, is like, how do you battle? Obviously, you're in fertilizing and weed control. How do you battle those type of service calls or complaints when it's partially kind of the customer's fault if they're not continually watering, on a recommended schedule?
Got it. Yeah. So when it comes to fertilizer and weed control, usually there's two things the customer needs to do, and that's water and mow their lawn on a good schedule. Like you can't, if you're mowing your lawn once a month, it's going to look like garbage. There's no doubt about that. So it's all about making sure that when we sell a client, we are creating a very clear expectation of what we're going to do versus what they're going to do. You're not hiring us to be a company that's going to take care of everything. I'm not going to show up there with a garden hose and water your lawn for you, but nor am I going to cut it. So we like to really just set the stage at the very first sales call to make sure expectations are clear. Because when customers drop off, it's because their expectations weren't met. Because if expectations were met, they would perceive the value and then they would justify going with you again. So it's all about making sure that at the end of the phone call, hey, by the way, Mrs. Jones, so I'm going to help make your lawn green, healthy, and weed-free and lush. And I'm really going to focus making sure that your lawn, there's a single weed, you call me, we're back there in 48 hours, all this good stuff. But here's what you need to do. I need to make sure that you're watering your lawn often and you're cutting it on a regular basis. Would you mind telling me a little bit more about what your watering habits are right now? And you get them to tell you right then and there. Because by the time when they call you and they say the lawn looks like crap and stuff, and you ask them how long they water, they'll be like, oh, I water every day for 30 minutes, and I cut every week. We all know that's not true, and like, not that they're liars, but like they're trying to figure out why they're frustrated and their lawn doesn't look good. So to answer your question, we got to set the stage as early on as possible about what they're going to do versus what we're going to do. And I'm a huge aspect of making your website into what I call a lawn care library. So make sure that your website has all the information that they need to be successful in the lawn care endeavor that they're going after. So if they're asking Google the questions, how often should I water my lawn? And they're in Calgary, I want my blog that I've written about that to be the very first thing that pops up on Google SEO. So that they go to Yard Dogs. Oh, Yard Dogs is telling me that, wait, I should water less frequently, but deeper waters? I wonder why. And they read through it and they start to be educated by our company and start to build brand loyalty and trust. Mowing, okay, so he actually recommends that we mow this frequency during these months and this frequency during those months. And should I bag or not bag? All those kind of questions that people are going to Google for, your company should be the one in your local market to answer it. Because if you're not answering it, somebody else is going to answer it. And you want to be the trusted brand for those kind of things. So just clear expectations, Will, and making sure that you have those watering cheat sheets, those mowing guides that you're sending to people on the back of our lawn signs. So like we have some large signs just like this: Yard Dog, stuff until dry, text for a free quote. On the very back here, we have a mowing, we have a mowing ruler. So it's telling people how long their grass should be when they cut it. So don't have it shorter than this, don't have it longer than this. And this does two things. One is it shows them how long their grass should be, but also it keeps your sign on their lawn for a lot longer because they get value from the sign. They're not picking off the same way you're doing it and throwing it in the trash. They are literally going, oh man, I got to keep that Yard Dog sign there. People keep driving by, Yard Dogs, Yard Dogs, Yard Dogs. Man, these guys are omnipresent. They're everywhere. Well, the truth is our signs just stay on someone's lawn a lot longer because most people get rid of that sign like the next day.
I love that, dude. That's awesome. And thank you for sharing that sign. I love the measurement on the back. That's brilliant. Seriously. That's awesome. So obviously, I mean, you guys built a $2 million company, right? So that most people can't even like fathom, like in their mind. Like how do you, hand off these responsibilities, right? Like like you said, you're not the one out there pushing the spreader. Liam's not the one out there pushing a spreader every day, and like actually taking every single sales call and things like that. So as you start to grow and scale a business, so you have your niche and you're starting to scale now, as far as like delineating the differences between the roles, how have you and Liam like established a clear boundary? And with that boundary, are there ever times where it's like you're kind of picking up Liam's slack, or Liam's kind of picking up your slack, or, the office manager's slack? Like, what does that kind of look like? Or is it just very cut and dry? Like, hey, if it fails, it's because of you. If it's successful, it's because of you.
So there's a lot of ways to unpack this question. And the way I'm going to start it essentially by saying, when you bring someone onto your company, you have to remember that skills can be taught, but characteristics can't be. So someone has character, and that character, no matter what you do, probably isn't going to change much. So I believe that hiring for skills is important. Yeah, obviously, if you're hiring a salesperson, it's kind of nice if they are good at sales, but it's much more important to make sure that the character is in line, because skills can be taught later on. So what we do here is that we make sure we establish first, this is going like way at the very start of your question. Before we hire someone, we have to make sure that they are in line with the company's core values. So we have 5 core values at our company. And the way that you determine your core values for your company is you ask yourself, everyone that's ever worked out here at the company, or everyone that hasn't worked out here at the company, what was it that they had? What made them different? And if you really start to think about those questions, you're going to come up with a couple things that really stand out with someone. For example, one of our core values is everything earned, nothing given. I hate entitlement, and I really can't stand it. But I love when someone's willing to come in, work their ass off, and I want to reward that so much. I want to enforce that so much, which is why I love lawn care. Like some of the hardest working people I have ever met is in the lawn care industry. Like no one's doing this to be sexy. Grass is not sexy. This is not the job you go into to get because all of my friends, they were all becoming lawyers and engineers and doctors. There's James, the lawn care business. Like you definitely don't get respect, but gosh, you surround yourself with people that work very hard. And that is extremely important to me. Everything earned, nothing given is a core value of ours that really helped us stand out. And when we're looking for people, we hire and we fire based on these core values. So you do those to make sure you're getting the right person. Okay, so you got the right person now, but now you got to figure out what is the right seat, because you need to have the right person in the right seat. If you have the wrong person in the right seat, it's not going to work out. If you have the right seat with the wrong person, it's not going to work out. You got to make sure you get both of those right. So you got to start to decide what seats are available at your company. And the way to do that is to write out the organizational chart you have right now, but then write out the organizational chart you want to have next year. And be realistic with yourself. As an owner, you're probably wearing all the hats at the start. Trust me. Liam and I have been there for sure, but you get to the point where you start to hire people based on skills that are in areas of your business that you don't have. So for example, we can usually break down a lawn care company in a couple of different departments. We've got our sales department, we have our customer service department, and we have our operations. So those are the 3 departments that are like the primary ones. Yeah, we got the small ones like the HR, and we got the ones like the accounting, the finance. Usually you can outsource those kind of things, which is another kind of point there. Some things you got to have in-house, some things you should have in-house. But another one to actually mention also that I believe you should have in-house is the marketing. So marketing, sales, customer service, and operations. Okay, so these are the 3 departments. When you have a business partnership like Liam and I have, a lot of people will tell you don't go into partnerships. Being a partner with Liam is the best thing I ever did, because we're different. If we were, a lot of people go into partnerships with their buddy and they're really good friends, but they're the same person. And that's not going to work out, because you're literally giving up half the company just to be with someone you enjoy spending time with, but neither of you are bringing different skills to the table. So Liam, he's an engineer. He's a full graduate mechanical engineer. And I went into business and I did marketing as my degree. So we work very well together because our values are the same, but our skills are different. So we make sure that when I'm focusing on what I'm focusing on, my strongest point is on the sales. And that's where my main focus has been for the longest time. Liam's strongest skills, rather, were on the operational side of things. He's very nitty gritty. If anyone's going to determine our prices for the year, it's Liam. Our expected gross profit per hour, it's Liam. Our efficiency per truck, it is Liam. He's picking that stuff, and I trust him to make the right decision. Now, we do something called, we have two types of meetings here at the company. We have a weekly L10 meeting, which stands for level 10 meeting. This is all based on the book called Traction by Gino Wickman. Fantastic book. That being said, it does show you how to build a company in the long term. Don't take everything it takes as gospel for a short, small term company, because it is kind of made for companies that are 2 million plus. But we decided, hey, Liam, I'm going to focus on dialing in this sales process. You're going to focus on the operations. You and I are going to kind of work on the marketing together, because we don't have, like, neither of us are the strongest point at that right now. And customer service, like, we each took on our roles that were strong at the time. And over time, got to the point where, okay, I am swamped with sales. I can't keep up with these leads. I should probably think about hiring someone. And some people hire people before the position is made. And I personally don't know if that's always the right solution, because I rather have way too much work than we can handle and slowly start to hire people to fill the seats and get them immersed in a busy culture than have someone sit there kind of dead, waiting for those leads to come in. So determining, like, be slow with hires. Like, take your time to go through these interviews. Make sure you're asking good interview questions. Make sure you're going through a resume properly. Make sure you're calling references. Hire slow and fire fast. I know that might sound a little harsh, but if you hire, it's impossible to know if you're hiring the right person when you hire them at first. So when you bring someone onto your company, give them all the opportunities to succeed. Make sure you're being very clear what their expectations are, what your expectations are of them, rather, for the job and stuff. But if it's not working out after many opportunities for it to work out, I've noticed if someone isn't a stud at the start, they're not going to become a stud. They either get it, they want it, and they have the capacity to do it. They need to have those three things. So they get the position. They understand why their position is important at the company. They want it. Like, remember that core value, everything or nothing given. They want it. They are following up. They're saying, hey, man, I really love this job. You can tell they're very eager to work at your company, and capacity to do it, because sometimes the position is actually larger than someone's capacity. And you need to decide yourself, as a business owner, am I going to pay for the courses, or am I going to train this person to learn this stuff? Do they actually have the capacity to learn this? Because they might be a great person that wants it and they get it, but some people unfortunately don't have the capacity for the job. So you have to make sure they have those three things when you hire each person. Bring in the right people and slowly start to fill that ideal organizational chart that you want. So we do those weekly meetings, like I mentioned, but then we're doing quarterly meetings as well. And every quarter, in fact, our next quarterly meetings tomorrow, February or April, what is tomorrow? The 12th, we're going to do that quarterly meeting. And, like, I realize we're 12 days behind, but we're going to be going over this next 90 days. Let's go over what our 1-year goal is. What is the 1-year organizational chart? Now, the next 90 days, what are our rocks? What are the main things that each person on our leadership team needs to be dialing in on so that we can have a successful quarter? This quarter is our most important one. So we're in Canada. We actually haven't even started lawn care services yet. We usually start May 1st, but the lawn care tsunami is about to hit us. And I refer to the lawn care tsunami as that when everyone picks up their phone and calls at the same time, and they submit their forms or website all at the same time, that's the lawn care tsunami. So being ready for this tsunami getting through this quarter, for all of May and the rest of April, probably 70% of all of our sales are going to happen in this 45-day window. So we better be ready. And we got ready for that based on our previous 2 quarterly meetings to make sure that we are prepared for this moment to come. So everything I'm mentioning, by the way, a lot of trial and error. We were never always this organized, and trust me, we still have a very long way to go, but we learn very quickly. When you go all in on the company and you have a partner to hold you accountable, you would be amazed about how far you can go. And do you hire the wrong person sometimes? Yeah, unfortunately you do, and it really sucks. But sometimes all you have to do in business is, like, as long as you don't go bankrupt, you can have like an infinite tries up to bat. And all you got to do is hit a home run a couple times, and gosh, that gets you far.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So speaking of getting ready for this tsunami that's about to hit up there in Canada. So I watched a podcast, I think it was with you and Liam on your channel. Shout out to the Dirt Life channel. First off, if anybody, before I go to get into this next question, if anybody is not already subscribed, number one, subscribe to this channel, and then go over to the Dirt Life channel and give them a subscribe, because honestly, the content that James is putting out is absolutely insane. And the knowledge that he has of building a $2 million company, looking at expanding to multiple locations, I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss that. So definitely go over there and hit that subscribe button. But James, so getting ready for the tsunami, right? That's about to hit. I saw or read or heard one of your podcasts about hiring, like I think it was like some customer service reps or maybe some sales reps, and you guys were looking at going like outside of the country with that. So I want to kind of touch on that and like the decision making kind of like behind that financially, like the differences between hiring somebody maybe out there in Canada locally that can come into the shop. What was that whole decision making like? And like, how is that going to be beneficial to master the tsunami that's about to come?
I'll start by saying that I am always down to pay someone what they're worth. And I never suggest doing outsourcing as a way to put more money in the bottom line. Rather, though, I look at sometimes there are some positions that need to be local every single time, but there are some positions that work much better with your season. Now, one of our biggest challenges is that our season, we literally only do lawn care from May 1st until about October 1st. And it snows on the outsides of that, or it just gets too cold. It is very difficult to hire someone locally on, let's call it customer service, for example, because it's only crazy, probably about 7 to 9 months out of the year. Because yes, there's things you can do before the lawn care season. Yes, there's lots of things you can do after the lawn care season, but there are 3 months of limbo. And the biggest challenge is that good people, great workers, they're looking for year-round work. And I don't blame them. I would be working for year-round work too. But as a company that doesn't do snow removal and doesn't do winter services, which is another rant I could go on, of course, it's really, I can't afford to just pay people to sit around doing nothing in the season. Now, at least at the start, we have people that have been with us for several years that I actually pay year round because I want to keep them and they've earned it. They were never given that to begin with. They earned their stay, and I pay them year round because they are talented, they are hardworking, they fit our core values, and I'm willing to pay for them to actually, because it's so go in the spring. We're kind of like a teacher. You know, you get paid 12 months of the year, but you have the summers off. We're the opposite. We have the winters off, but we do that. But for customer service, we actually utilize a lot of remote workers. You know, people that. One thing that matters a lot in Canada, at least, is that they can't have an accent. You have any kind of accent here, an exception to Irish and British accents. Those are actually okay. But even if it was an American accent, and you guys probably think I have an accent, so you're probably just laughing at me right now. But if someone has a non-local accent, people get very skeptical because they've been burned in the past by scam calls, or they've been burned in the past by these big, like cellular companies like TELUS, for example. It's just these big call centers. They don't really care, and they're calling people left, right, and center. So people can't help but judge you. I realize we shouldn't judge others, but people still do. So we have to make sure they have no accent. But these are people, we have some people from the States. We have some people from Ecuador. We have some from the Philippines who are super, super good at what they do. Customer service is what they live for, but we hire them on a contractual basis. And they're actually cool with that because they have other gigs that they pursue throughout the year. So we have like some of them we're actually going to probably hire year round because they're awesome, but they are on their computers working from where they are, and they are choosing to look for this kind of work. And a 7-month season, they're all for that because they have another gig that they do another 5 months out of the year. So it's kind of win-win. We can bring them on. I don't have to feel bad about like a layoff after 7 months because I know they're going to be busy and they can actually learn how to, like, for example, one guy's in Ecuador. He's selling for me for lawn care this season. I do have some in-person sales reps too, but he's selling for me. And this is awesome because he can come work with us for 5 to 7 months, absolutely crush at those, get a paid good an hourly rate and a good commission. And then he can go do whatever he wants for the other 5 months. He'll work another gig. He'll spend more time with his family. And I got to say that us paying them the US dollar really goes a long way based on the country they're in. Like, for example, I don't know the exact math in this, but if I give someone $8 an hour USD and they're in the Philippines, that is like you're making like 45 or 60 bucks an hour. Like, they are stoked to get that. So it's win-win because it helps keep things on a shorter term for us. They are bringing A+ talent. And I got to say, some people, like, they go hard at like applying for you, They are eager, hard workers. And I think COVID's really just kind of opened up the doors for a lot of us to consider talent outside of the city. Don't get me wrong, we have a ton of people here. More than half the company is in Calgary. We're doing lawns. I can't hire a remote rep to do lawn care and stuff, but that's been something that we've been dabbling around with. And so far, we've gotten some very good results from it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's so funny because I'm actually in the part right now where we're looking at hiring an editor for our
Mhm.
channel. And so, I mean, I put an ad out, and again, P for P mindset. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
this is what it'll be, base salary. And then as long as the videos do well, get so many views within 30 days, you'll get an extra bonus, which the upside of it is they can make boatloads of money on the
Yeah.
like upload or the performance on it. But it's funny because like I was looking at it and like they could literally probably make 30-40 bucks an hour. Like from what I'm paying, because I know
Yeah.
how long it takes to edit the videos.
Yeah.
But then after watching your podcast with Liam about how you guys are looking at, you know, outsourcing some of those activities, and I'm like, man, and it's not that like I don't think it's like being greedy. You know what I mean? Like, because like our YouTube channel, I just basically break even on it. I spend everything I make. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
like,
we lose a lot of money on it. Not gonna lie. Like Yard Dogs is great, but the Dirt Life, it costs a lot of money. It takes a lot of your time for sure. Sorry to cut you off, but it's definitely
yeah,
not a huge money making gig right away.
yeah. And so like, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I could pay somebody, $10 or $15 that does just as good work, like would I be able to take that other $25 to go hopefully help more people and like,
Mhm.
invest in their business and like create more content and things like that. And so I don't know, it's a really interesting thought process after watching that. It's like getting my wheels spinning of like, man, like, is this the right choice? I literally had 2 interviews today with editors, video editors, specifically for YouTube and stuff. So
It's
I
true, because if you
appreciate.
can't afford to keep it going, you're not gonna be able to keep crushing out the value that's helping a lot of local people in North America run their lawn care business, and that's important. Like, which one gives more value? You just being able to post videos whenever you can because you're busy or it's just too expensive to hire someone locally, or you just be able to pump out content left, right, and center because you found a way to make it a little bit more affordable. The person that's doing the editing for you, they're very happy because that wage goes very far for them, and the quality is great. I mean, it's a free market. Like, that's the very cool part of the internet. The internet, of course, has a lot of cons, but there are some good things that came out of it, and I think this is one of them. So I think everyone wins this. Your followers get more YouTube videos of Will Kelly coming in to crush it. The person that's editing the videos has a good living wage that's working very well for them, and you can justify the cost towards your channel because this isn't your main business. Your main business, of course, military cuts, like that's your bread and butter. But this is a good way, something that you're building over time. And like any business that we start off, we should probably be bootstrapping things as early as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love it. So I'm in the process right now. I'm listening to a book or reading a book. It's called Buy Back Your Time. It's a
Mhm.
great book. Have you heard it or listened to it?
I haven't. Is it kind of like a Tim Ferriss 4 Hour Work Week or something like that? I haven't heard of that one.
I'd say yeah, it's similar. It's similar to that, but it basically like I'm listening to it and it's like okay, there's like 500 hats you can wear in the business, right? And basically what you want to do, like there's certain tasks in your business that give you energy that just
Mhm.
fires you up in the morning, like get you out of bed. You're like, oh, I get excited to go take a sales call or whatever that is, right? And then there's some tasks that are like just super draining. It's like, oh man, and it's like very tedious and like monotonous sometimes. And so I'm like rethinking our processes and like just, I mean, simple things like follow up estimate calls. Like we have 100 estimates in the queue every week that we have to go through and call like our general manager. And I'm just like, man, like what if we just hired out that monotonous task to just follow up with estimates? Like, and so, and like I'm doing like a ton of pre-screening phone interviews and I'm like, okay, I could literally hire somebody to do this. And it's just simple stuff like that, that like, I don't know, the whole book mantra is like buying back your time. Yeah. So I'm really kind of like rethinking some of the tasks that I'm doing in the business and being like, okay, I could definitely outsource this or like hire somebody else to do this for X amount of dollars.
And that's our job as entrepreneurs. Our job is to solve a problem in the marketplace and build a team of people to do it. The odds that you and I will are the best like landscape crew member and the best customer service rep and the best sales rep and the best video editor and the best accountant ever is next to nothing. And I promise you, there's people that are better than you at each of those departments. And our job should be to spend all of our time looking for those people. The more I listen to like Mike Andes and he's talking with Lee on the C-suite, they're talking about Mike Andes was at the conference with people that run 8-figure, 9-figure businesses. And when problems come up, they're not thinking, how do I solve this? They're thinking, who do I need to hire on my team to start to solve this? And I think that entrepreneurship, eventually you get to that point, and that's what I'm working relentlessly to get to, because we have a bit of pride sometimes. I'm the best. I got to be in there. I got to save the day, but you don't want to be the hero. The genius is the guy that makes other geniuses. The hero is the guy that makes other heroes. So go build a stud on the sales department and go build a stud on customer service. And those people are out there. You got to find them. You got to pay them well, get them on the team, have them build or buy into your vision. And our job as entrepreneurs are to build the team. It's not to be doing those estimate calls. Yeah, that's how you start for sure. But it's always got to be, where am I going with this? How much is your time actually worth? I think is a good question to ask yourself. And what things can you do at your business that has the greatest hourly rate, the greatest leverage? Like, is it you cutting the lawn, or is it you figuring how to get your next 50 customers into the pipeline? Or is it you thinking about how to plan your third branch? And the reason why I say you shouldn't do snow removal is because it takes time to think about these things, and it takes like good shit takes time to figure out. I'm so guilty of this when I was like out in the field and when I'm doing mundane tasks. I like to believe that I'm like overseeing things and I'm thinking about things, but no, I'm just focused in the moment and I'm not actually spending the time it takes to build something properly. That kind of stuff takes introspection, it takes reflection, and it actually takes going over your past years. What did I do well? What were my close rates last year? What was my ROI in every single marketing avenue I did last year? What was my retention rate? All of my customer service reps, who was on the phone the most, who saved the most clients? P for P, all my technicians, who was doing the best and what the hell was it that they were doing? I should document this process so that I can get all of my guys doing the same thing. Everything I mentioned about is what an entrepreneur should be focusing on, and that is your best source of leverage. How do you make your company better? How do I make Yard Dogs Lawn Care more efficient? If it's not increasing profits, increasing customers, or reducing retention, you shouldn't be spending your time on it, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. And like one of the other biggest parts too about that book that I was like really thinking that triggered my mindset here is like at the end of the day, like when you're a small business and you're just getting started, like you're right. The employee is probably not going to care as much as you about the business, right? Like, and they may not actually like go above and beyond like you or I would do, for the business. So, but as long as they could do it to an 80% satisfaction or 80% production or efficiency, like that frees up your time 100% to go and do something else. And it's so funny because I'm literally driving down the street today and I was watching one of our guys mow and I'm like, okay, go start in the street first, start in the street first. Lo and behold, he went on the sidewalk first. Now he's going to go back to and blow the street and he's going to dirty up the sidewalk. So he's going to have to go back twice. And like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I could jump out and go over and all those like little minute little details to get it all perfect. But I'm like, you know what? My time is freed up to go and handle bigger stuff. And that's what I need to be going and doing, not like stopping and like fine tuning. Now there's give and take to that. Obviously you want a good training process and all that stuff. But like, me being like somewhat of a meticulous, methodical perfectionist, I'm like trying to get everything perfect. And sometimes I hold my team to that level of standard, but I need to take a step back and be like, no, it's okay. They're not going to do it necessarily at 110% like I or you would. As long as they're doing it to 80%, at least I don't have to do it. You know what I mean?
100%. And you need to have people fall in love with military lawn cuts, not Will Kelly. Because I was at a point at one point in our business where whenever somebody called, they're like, I need to speak with James. I will only speak with James, blah, blah, blah. And that was a huge problem because I didn't want to be the guy always answering the phone calls. And I started to become obsessed. I was like, hey, if they get Yard Dogs Lawn Care Services, no matter who books them, who the customer service rep is, or who the technician on the field, they should be getting an A grade killer, unprecedented quality of service because it's Yard Dogs, not because it's James or because it's Liam. And when you start to think like that, you start to build the systems that you and I are talking about to make that happen. And it takes time and a lot of trial error. You watching your guy do that, yeah, you could probably jump in and you could get it done there better than he could. But one, it's going to kill his morale because it's better, way better to think, okay, the reason he's doing that way, maybe it's it's so good to look in the mirror and say, this is my fault. It's my fault because I must have not gone through enough thorough training to make sure that it's starting like this every single time. You can go back to your training, you're going to go back to your learning management software, and you're going to now tweak the process, get everybody in a team meeting, and make sure that that is the new standard of things. Now, hold people to a high standard. If you've gone over this 1,000 times and that problem's still going, that's a coaching opportunity for that person there too. But you're right, him doing it 80% as good as you could do, that is awesome. That is a sweet thing. Nobody's probably going to care as much as you will, but as you grow, 80% is good enough. 80 to 90% is good enough, because then you can actually scale and you can go have 10 guys like that actually cutting the lawns. But if it's just Will Kelly, hey, you might get the best retention rate ever. You might be able to close every single person, but guess what? You're only going to be able to manage 200 to 300 customers. And that is, you're going to peak out and you're going to burn yourself out. I had this one guy once, he was giving me slack because he had a higher retention than we did on our customers. And I'm like, but man, you're the only guy at your company. Of course you're going to have 100% retention. You're the business. Like, if I was the business, I am sure going to have 100% retention too, but you only have 200 customers. As you grow, it's not that quality goes down, but that personal effect, that relationship, it needs to be standardized. And that's going to change, and you're not going to have 100% retention. But I would much rather have 80% retention of a $2 million business than 100% retention of a $200,000 business. It just makes way more sense.
1,000%. Yeah, you hit it right on the nail. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I want to transition as we towards the closeout of this, James. So one of the biggest kind of mottos that I am instilling, hopefully through like the YouTube channel and everything, is really developing leaders. And that's, I think, like, to be honest, like my personal mission is like to be able to develop leaders. When you hear that, obviously you're a great leader and everything. So what does that mean to you, to develop leaders or to develop other leaders?
I think that's when you actually ask, like, why do we go into business? Like, yes, you want to provide for your family and whatnot, but I do think there's more to it, because I truly believe that our work works on us more than we actually work on it. So, like, we develop a lot as a person whenever we're going through hardships, going through struggles. What the lessons teaching us and who we're becoming is a lot more important than what we're getting out of things. I think that our job as employers, like, I remember I watched some video and someone was like, everyone wants to always do what's sexy. It seems like he was thinking about leaving his business because he wanted to go coach and mentor people in the industry of it. Someone gave him great advice. I'm pretty sure this is an Alex Hormozy video, but he's saying, man, don't underestimate the impact that you're making in your business by doing the boring business. What he means by that is like, are we saving lives here at Yard Dogs Lawn Care? No, we're making grass green, healthy, and weed free. But what are we doing? Well, we have 26 people that are taking an income from this business, and they're feeding their families with that. We have 45 residential customers that have a green lawn, so they're not out there on the weekends trying to figure it out. They're spending more time with their family. I had 26 pallets of fertilizer arrive today. That money is going towards the salesperson's family. That's going towards the manufacturers of the fertilizers' families. Like, this money is going around, and it is building community. It is building the truck driver that's supporting him. You doing your business has way more of an impact than you think it does. Some people have the mindset in life where nothing matters. Therefore, like, because we're all going to die, nothing matters. I have the opposite approach. I'm like, no, but everything matters. Everything you do eventually will affect everyone around you. So if you're going to do something, give it your all. Like, nothing well done is insignificant ever. And how you build your business is greatly going to impact your community. It's greatly going to impact not only your family, but the lives of all your friends and your family, and those your employees as well. So when you start to think about it like that, Will, you really start to care deeply about the people you're working with. You're hiring people, like, you should care deeply about them even more than they care about themselves. And if you can do that, kind of, you're thinking from a mindset of service towards them, and they will be able to tell that you genuinely care. And there's that common cliche saying that people don't care about what you know until they know how much you care. That is so true. And once they believe that, you can start to help them be a better leader. So, like, hey, if there's a guy that's with us, like, hey, I don't want you to just be an awesome salesperson. I want you to be an awesome husband. I want you to be an awesome father. If you're a person from faith, like I'm a person from faith, like the ultimate goal is I want to help you get to heaven. Like, that's the number one goal. But how can we break that down into small steps? Well, how can you be not only an awesome salesperson, but how can you be an awesome friend, husband, father, all those things that are dear to you? And I think it's important to do sit downs with people on your team individually and say, hey, I didn't realize we're just doing grass here. I know it's just grass. And we all know it's a bit more than that, but what do you want out of life? I always ask, like, what are your personal goals? Like, are you just here to make a paycheck, or are you trying to, send your kids to private school, or are you trying to go on that family dream vacation? Are you trying to build your church, local communities? Get on the same value position as them for their goals, and make action steps that they can do in your business to achieve those goals.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I think like my biggest takeaway there is like being a servant leader. You know what I mean? Like serving your people, your team, because like it goes further than just them, right? They're putting food on the table for their families, right? It's a bigger impact than just, like you said, a paycheck at the job or at work, That's awesome. That's awesome. So James, do you have any you are a wealth of knowledge, right? So do you have any great books, audible books, education, YouTube channels, that like content that you're consuming that's really helping you maybe get to that next level in business, or that has helped got you to where you're at today, that you would recommend?
I mean, absolutely. There's so many things, but if you went onto my YouTube right now, you'd see very quickly that I'm subscribed to, like, anything Alex Hormozy puts out, I'm watching for sure. And Mike Andes, I think there's so much you can learn from that guy, especially when it's a little bit more honed in on our industry. That's great. For when it comes to books, though, like, here's a few. I'll spitball many at you that have really changed my life. The first book I ever read that was really helped me determine that I need to go all in on a niche is called The Pumpkin Plan by Mike Michalowicz. He's a lot more famous for his book Profit First, but that Pumpkin Plan book really helped me decide that I need to go all in on just a couple of services. The way I learned accounting, I'm pretty sure it's called the accounting game. That's how we learned about bookkeeping and why the numbers really matter, because not knowing your financials is holding you back so much. But once you understand what they are, you can make informed-based decisions. So the accounting game, it's like a lemonade stand on the cover of the book. Traction by Gino Wickman teaches you how to build an effective company and how to run meetings that keep people in line. And everything I was mentioning about core values also came from that book. Alex Hormozy's, both his books, $100 million leads, $100 million offers, phenomenal reads, especially the leads one. I think you got to learn how to do Google ads. Like, Google ads have been such a powerful part of our business. So you got to absorb anything you can on YouTube about Google ads to learn how to get people leads coming knocking on your door. The They Ask You Answer is an awesome book that helps you understand that your website should be that lion care library that I was talking about. That has been crucial. The book Who, just HWO, really helps you decide, teaches you how to hire people. And who do I hire to fix this problem? Not should I do the problem myself? That one, fantastic. Oh man, there's so many good books. I could like go on for like an hour and stuff like there too. But I think that whenever you just remember, like, if you're ever not good at something, you can learn it. You can fix that. There's a course you can buy. There's a YouTube video you can watch. There's no need to go to university. I have a business degree in marketing, man. Take it and throw it in the shredder. Like, you learn it all from doing it. You learn it from spending 10 grand on Google ads and saying, I got no leads. What the hell did I do wrong? Like, all that kind of stuff. You learn things by doing them. And that's what's so cool about business. You can keep trying and trying and trying. As long as you don't give up, you actually can't lose. That's the secret of business. You keep trying and adjusting, and you never stop. Like, you only lose once you stop. But as long as you keep getting back, it's only a matter of time before you're successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to, because I listened to the podcast from Mike too, and he was talking about, like, in that high level room, like, people, it was a who problem, right? I literally want to like write that on my whiteboard, is like, it's not my problem. I mean, it is my problem, but I'm not going to be the one to fix it. It needs to be a who is going to fix it. And like, dude, it's crazy. Cause like, from 0 to like even 1 million, it's like, you're just like, oh, I can fix it. I can fix it. I can do it. I can do it. I mean, obviously haven't gotten past that part, which you have, but I'm sure it's still a weird mindset shift of like, how do you get out of that I'm going to get stuff done mentality to no, who else is going to get this stuff done, and not me necessarily,
You've got to want it. You've got to want it. And you want it bad enough that there's going to be some short-term opportunities missed. For example, downstairs today, I'm all about speed to lead. A lead comes in, you got to call them immediately. A lead came in, and I'm looking at this. I look at the call to see who's available for sales guys. I see a couple of them are available, and that lead, 10 seconds goes by, 20 seconds go by, and I start shaking. I'm like, oh, I could call him right now, and I know I'd book him. But the problem is that I booked him, then what? Nothing. Like that's the problem. Nothing happens, therefore nothing improves. It was all about, no, guys, like, yo, new lead, let's go. Get them in there, get them in there. One, they get the commission, they get a little bit better at their job. But two, it forces me to say, okay, they're not calling them right away here. Maybe I need to go double check the notification they're getting on their phone to make sure that they're getting notified. We got to create a high standard. And if you're the one that's always doing it, it might be held to a high standard until you stop doing it again. And then it goes back down there too. So your time is so much better spent teaching others how to do it. Again, you could, like, Will Kelly lawn care, I'm sure would crush it until one day you're like, I don't want to mow lawns anymore. And guess what? No lawns get done because you didn't build a team. So you got to want it, and you're willing for it to only be 80% as good as you could do it. But don't forget that there were parts of your company where someone's going to do 3 times better than you ever could. And yes, there are some people, it's always 80%, but there are so many situations where it's 400% better than you can do it. And that's win-win. Both of those are win-win to me. So there are people that are better than you at it. You just got to take the time to find them and be willing to commit to things not being perfect so that they can scale.
Yeah, I love it, dude. That's solid advice. All right, so James, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. Where can all those new viewers that obviously haven't seen the last podcast, but where can they reach you? Obviously, you have the YouTube channel. Obviously, go and definitely subscribe to that if you guys aren't already. But how can people reach out if they have questions and want to get to know more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we got the Dirt Life channel. I think it's there on my name tag there. I'm also trying to get our Instagram going. Just started that up. So you can also do the Dirt Life channel on Instagram there as well. Yard Dogs, it's a completely separate brand from us just because Yard Dogs does the lawn care. The Dirt Life, we talk about lawn care industries. Those 2 channels are awesome. If you go into most videos, you can usually find my email in there. It's just my first initial last name, jsoika@yarddogs.ca. You can always check us out there too. I'm always happy to help anyone they ask questions my way. It is our peak season, so give me some time to get back to you. Sometimes I get a little bit behind in those too. But the YouTube channel, I think, is a great place to start and just absorb a lot of the stuff that's on there.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, James. You were dropping solid content. I appreciate you jumping on with me.
No, dude, the pleasure is mine. I'm blessed to be able to talk to you, and I have a lot of fun doing this. I think you're doing some great stuff in the industry as well, especially all the way down there in Texas. We're far away, but we're pretty similar, man. We're doing some good stuff there too. So I'm happy to do this anytime. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely.